Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Don't jump. You guys are used to jumping. Don't jump. Anyway, thanks for letting me come and say hello to you all. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all women and men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Sounds corny, but it's the truth of who we are. We've never lived up to it, but we've never walked away from it. And the rest of the world looks to us. Because, you know, we not only lead by the example of our power, but by the power of our example.
News came as a shock for the city of Carrizo Spring and Dimmitt County leaders.
What we were told is they got a call in the morning yesterday.
Who is they?
The Border Patrol from the federal government start releasing immigrants into the city of Carrizo Springs.
Soon, undocumented immigrants without criminal history will be released in the city of Carrizo Springs.
Like he said, agent in charge again, could be 10, could be 50, could be 150.
However, city officials admit they're not prepared and have reached out to the city of Uvalde on how they handle the release of migrants.
We're starting from scratch, literally. And then, of course, in the border, you have, charities and churches that help these immigrants. And here, there's nothing at this point in place.
Many people also questioning the role of U.S. sanctions on Russia after President Biden said this when a reporter pointed out that sanctions did not deter Vladimir Putin from invading Ukraine.
Let's get something straight. You remember, if you covered me from the very beginning, I did not say that, in fact, the sanctions would deter him. Sanctions never deter. You keep talking about that. Sanctions never deter.
But that has not been the messaging from the White House and President Biden's own cabinet. This is what we were told about sanctions just last month.
The president believes that sanctions are intended to deter. And in order for them to work to deter, they have to be set up in a way where if Putin moves, then the costs are.
The purpose of that is to do everything we can to deter, to prevent a war, to deter the aggression. That will forewarn Russia. It will be able to prepare more effectively to try to mitigate the sanctions.
The purpose of the sanctions has always been and continues to be deterrence.
The reason why when the Secretary of State asked me if I'd send another 12,000 troops along to the United States, I said, yeah, from the United States. This crisis also presents an opportunity. It's a catalyst that will drive the investments we need to double down on our clean energy goals and accelerate progress toward our net zero emissions future. That's what the second part of this initiative is all about. The United States and the European Union are going to work together to take concrete measures to reduce dependence on natural gas, period. And you're going to see when you're there, and some of you have been there, you're going to see women, young people standing in the middle of front of a damn tank, just saying, I'm not leaving. I'm holding my ground. They're incredible. Second time I flew in, I've been in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan about 40 times, 38 times.
How high do you think oil prices can get at the pump?
There's a lot of uncertainty about it. They're not as high in real terms as they were earlier in this century. And it's conceivable that they could move higher.
How you reconcile the administration's climate goals right now with what clearly is a shift in posture around energy and fossil fuels?
Well, the climate goals are very important, and there's no change in that. If anything, seeing what's happening because of our dependence on global markets for oil and to some extent natural gas just emphasizes the importance of making the transition to move quickly to renewables that will give us a safer and more independent energy picture.
Chief of Border Patrol says he is bracing for a staggering 8,000 apprehensions a day. CNN's Priscilla Alvarez joins me now on this story. That is a huge number.
It's not just a big number. We are waiting for a decision on a Trump-era pandemic emergency rule. What that rule did was allow authorities to turn people away at the border. We are waiting next week for a CDC decision whether that stays in effect. If it doesn't, that means we go back to the traditional protocols, which would be releasing migrants, sometimes monitoring them when that happens, detaining them, or removing them if they don't have an asylum claim. But that takes processing, that takes time. And so what the Border Patrol has had to do is prepare for the event that there will be many more people coming in the next few weeks. And they are already, by the way, Brianna, over capacity. This week they had 16,000 people
Way.
Thank you.
Senator Sullivan?
Yeah.
The war on oil, and yet we need more oil? I mean, how much common sense has been offered on your show? This Lance Fritz talking about what the administration should be doing. I mean, what's the administration doing to further any of the issues that we need for national security? What a show you guys had this morning. I mean, it's kind of breathtaking.
Senator, is that from day one, the White House has been focused on killing the production of American energy. And I will grant you that the rhetoric was there, and even before the election, when he said, I will kill the fossil fuel industry. There was the executive order in January of 2021 that outlined things. But that's a lot of rhetoric. You're in Alaska, where this is a major export. Specifically, what has the Biden administration done?
Joe Biden, when he was on the campaign trail, said he was going to end fossil fuels, and I think they've actually really tried to do that. Let me give you a couple examples. You mentioned there was, right when they came in, day one, there was a 60-day moratorium on anything, and I mean anything, with regard to federal lands. All stopped. 60 days after that, the Assistant Secretary in charge of Lands and Minerals said that any application to drill, these are thousands of permits to do the basic work on leases, which have been traditionally approved at lower levels in federal government officials in Alaska. This assistant secretary said she has to approve everything. Right now, there are 4,600 of these applications to drill stuck in the headquarters of D.C. When Joe Biden says he's going to do everything he can to help limit energy prices, this is exactly one of the examples. They should get rid of that memo, that authority right now, and start approving these applications to drill, over 4,000 of them. So that's one big thing. And then at the national level, Joe, and you guys see it, you know, in order to get the nod to be a federal regulator, think about it. You have to commit to the holy war against energy. Think about the nominees they put forward for comptroller of the currency, for the Fed with Miss Raskin, the SEC chairman, even the FERC. They are all putting out rules that are anti-energy. This, of course, hurts investment, and it sends a signal that the federal government doesn't support energy production. So it's a huge issue, and from day one, they have been focused on killing energy infrastructure, production,